You keep saying you want change, but you treat time like it is cheap and obedience like it is optional. You want the fruit without the root, the crown without the cross, the harvest without the plowing. Look at your life honestly. Strip away the excuses, the noise, the false comfort. What remains is what you have actually lived for, and if that truth makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is often mercy. 2026 is not a lottery ticket. It is not magic. It will not bow to your wishes or your moods. It will demand discipline, repentance, and resolve. It will expose whether you are serious or merely sentimental. Many speak of destiny, but few are willing to die to the habits that are killing them. You cannot walk into a new year carrying the same idols and expect a different outcome. You say you want growth, but you refuse correction. You say you want strength, but you avoid suffering. You say you want purpose, but you waste hours on things that do not matter and call it rest. Wake up. Your life is not a rehearsal. The days you are given are sacred, and you will give an account for how you spent them. If 2026 is to be yours, then something must be put to death now. Pride must fall. Laziness must be crucified. Secret sins must be dragged into the light and dealt with honestly. Stop blaming your past, your family, your circumstances. Responsibility is not cruelty, it is freedom. When you own your failures, you are finally positioned to change. This will not be comfortable. Real transformation never is. It will require early mornings when no one is watching, obedience when no one applauds, perseverance when emotions run dry. It will require you to choose what is right over what is easy, again and again, until character is formed and conviction becomes immovable. Do not wait for motivation. Act in obedience and let discipline train your desires. Do not wait for confidence. Move forward in humility and let faith grow through action. The future does not belong to the loud, the talented, or the gifted. It belongs to the faithful, the consistent, the broken who refuse to stay down. You are not promised tomorrow, but you are responsible for today. Decide now what kind of person will step into 2026. Decide what will no longer be tolerated in your life. Decide what you will pursue even when it costs you everything. Then rise, walk forward without looking back, and live like the time you have been given actually matters. You keep waiting for the calendar to do what only repentance can accomplish. You talk about a new year as though it has power in itself, as though January will somehow cleanse what you have refused to confront for years. But time does not transform people. Truth does. Obedience does. Brokenness does. And without those, 2026 will simply become another year added to a long list of wasted opportunities. Wishful thinking is one of the most dangerous lies you entertain. It allows you to feel hopeful without being holy, optimistic without being obedient. You say things will be different, but you never define how, and you certainly never count the cost. You comfort yourself with intentions while your life is shaped by habits, and habits do not change because you feel inspired. They change when they are confronted, exposed, and replaced with discipline. Transformation is violent to the flesh. It is not gentle. It does not ask permission from your comfort. It disrupts routines you enjoy, relationships you hide behind, and sins you protect because they make life easier. If 2026 is to be different, then you must accept that something you love may have to go. Something you defend may need to be destroyed. Something you excuse may need to be confessed. You cannot enter a new season while refusing to leave the old one. Yet this is exactly what many try to do. They want progress without repentance, growth without grief over sin, maturity without humility. They want the appearance of change while clinging tightly to the very things that are holding them captive. This is not transformation. This is self. deception dressed up as hope. Look closely at how you live when no one is watching. Look at how you spend your time, how you speak, what you pursue, what you avoid. That is your true theology. That is what you really believe. And if those patterns remain untouched by conviction and obedience, then no declaration about 2026 will mean anything at all. You must stop confusing emotion with conversion. Feeling stirred is not the same as being changed. Tears do not equal repentance. Promises do not equal obedience. Many have wept under conviction only to return to the same patterns because they were never willing to do the hard, unglamorous work of daily faithfulness. Transformation happens in the ordinary, unseen moments where you choose discipline over desire. Wishful thinking thrives where accountability is absent. You tell yourself you will change, but you tell no one else. You make quiet vows that no one can challenge, and when you fail, there is no one to confront you, so you simply lower the standard and move on. Real transformation welcomes the light. It invites correction. It submits to truth even when that truth wounds pride. If 2026 demands transformation, then you must be ruthless with excuses. Stop blaming your upbringing, your stress, your lack of opportunity. These may explain struggles, but they do not justify disobedience. Responsibility is the doorway to freedom. The moment you own your actions, you regain the power to change them. Transformation also demands patience. You did not build your current life overnight, and you will not rebuild it instantly. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when old desires resurface with force, but do not use the difficulty of the process as an excuse to abandon it. Perseverance is not optional. It is proof that the work is real. You must also understand that transformation is not about self-improvement. It is not about becoming a more impressive version of yourself. It is about becoming honest, humble, and obedient. It is about aligning your life with truth, not polishing your image. Many people want to change so they can be admired. Few want to change so they can be faithful. Wishful thinking avoids pain. Transformation embraces it. There is pain in saying no to what once ruled you. There is pain in rebuilding discipline where laziness once lived. There is pain in admitting you were wrong, weak, or deceived, but this pain is not destructive, it is corrective. It is the pain of healing, not the pain of decay. If you refuse this pain now, you will face a far worse one later, the pain of regret, the pain of realizing you had time, truth, and opportunity, and you squandered them because you preferred comfort. Do not underestimate how heavy that realization can be. Many carry it quietly, smiling on the outside while knowing deep down that they settled for far less than they were called to live. Transformation requires clarity. You must define what obedience looks like in your daily life. Vague desires produce vague results. Decide what must change in your schedule, your habits, your priorities. Decide what disciplines must be established and what distractions must be eliminated. Hope without structure is empty. You cannot drift into transformation. Drift always leads backward. Forward movement requires intention, effort, and resolve. Every day you will either reinforce old patterns or build new ones. There is no neutral ground. Every choice trains you in a direction, whether you realize it or not. If you truly believe 2026 demands transformation, then act like it. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness often comes after obedience, not before it. Take the first step even if it exposes weakness, especially if it exposes weakness. Humility is fertile soil for change. Understand this clearly. Wishful thinking asks, what can I get without changing? Transformation asks, what must I become, no matter the cost? One keeps you comfortable, the other makes you free. One leaves you unchanged year after year. The other reshapes your life from the inside out. The question is not whether 2026 can be different. The question is whether you are willing to be different, whether you will confront what you have avoided, whether you will obey when it is costly, whether you will choose truth over comfort when no one is forcing you to do so. Because 2026 will not bend to your wishes, but it will respond to genuine, costly, consistent transformation. You speak often about the future as though it were something that simply happens to you, as though it is shaped by forces outside your control, by luck, by opportunity, by other people's decisions. But the truth you must face is far more uncomfortable and far more empowering. The future is largely formed by what you do with what you have been given right now. Ownership is not optional. It is the dividing line between those who grow and those who stagnate. Ownership begins when you stop viewing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start viewing yourself as a steward of responsibility. What you have been entrusted with may not be what you would have chosen, but it is what you must answer for. Blaming others may soothe your pride, but it will never build your character. The moment you say, "This is my responsibility," you reclaim authority over your life. Without ownership, there is no forward movement, only endless explanation. Faithful action is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It is not impressive to those who are obsessed with recognition. It is quiet, repetitive, and often unseen. It is choosing what is right when no one is applauding. It is showing up when enthusiasm is gone. It is doing the next necessary thing even when it feels small and insignificant. And yet, it is precisely these small, faithful actions that shape the trajectory of a life. Many want a different future, but few want a different routine. They dream of outcomes while neglecting disciplines. They talk about calling while ignoring consistency. But the future is not built on moments of intensity. It is built on patterns of obedience. What you repeatedly do in ordinary days becomes the foundation of where you eventually stand. Ownership also demands honesty. You must look at your life without flinching. Where you are today is not an accident. It is the cumulative result of choices made, actions taken or avoided, responsibilities embraced or neglected. This is not said to condemn you, but to awaken you. If your choices have brought you here, then different choices can take you somewhere else, but only if you are willing to face the truth without defensiveness. Faithful action refuses shortcuts. It understands that real progress is slow and often frustrating. It resists the temptation to manipulate appearances or rush results. There is a deep integrity in doing the work thoroughly rather than quickly, in building something solid rather than something that merely looks impressive. Those who chase shortcuts may gain attention, but they sacrifice endurance. You must also understand that ownership includes your failures. It is easy to take credit for success and shift blame for failure, but growth requires the opposite. When you own your mistakes, you learn from them. When you deny them, you repeat them. Faithful people are not those who never fall, but those who rise without excuses and correct their course. The future does not reward intention. It responds to action. You may sincerely want to change, sincerely want to grow, sincerely want to be disciplined, but sincerity without obedience produces nothing. Faithful action bridges the gap between desire and reality. It turns conviction into practice and belief into behavior. There will be seasons when faithful action feels unrewarded. You will labor without visible progress. You will do what is right and see little immediate fruit. This is where many quit, not because they are incapable, but because they are impatient. But faithfulness is proven in endurance. The harvest always lags behind the sowing, and those who abandon the field too early never see what could have grown. Ownership also requires boundaries. You cannot be faithful in action if your life is ruled by distraction. You must decide what will have access to your time, your energy, and your focus. Every yes is a no to something else. Every commitment costs you something. Those who refuse to set boundaries end up living reactively, controlled by demands rather than directed by purpose. You cannot outsource responsibility for your growth. No one else can discipline your mind, guard your habits, or make your decisions for you. Guidance can help, support can strengthen, but ownership cannot be delegated. At the end of the day, you choose whether to act or to drift. And drift is always easier in the moment and more destructive in the long run. Faithful action is fueled by conviction, not emotion. Emotions rise and fall, but conviction anchors you when motivation fades. If you wait until you feel like doing what is right, you will live inconsistently. But if you act because you know what is right, your emotions will eventually follow your obedience. Discipline trains desire, not the other way around. The future is shaped in moments of decision that seem insignificant at the time. Choosing to be honest when a lie would be easier. Choosing to work diligently when no one is watching. Choosing to rest appropriately instead of numbing yourself with distraction. These choices rarely feel heroic, but they quietly construct the kind of person you are becoming. Ownership strips away entitlement. You are not owed success, recognition, or ease. You are called to faithfulness. When you release the demand to be rewarded immediately, you gain the freedom to work wholeheartedly without resentment. This posture protects you from bitterness and keeps your actions rooted in integrity rather than expectation. Faithful action also requires courage. There will be times when doing what is right costs you comfort, approval, or opportunity. There will be moments when obedience isolates you, when you stand alone because you refuse to compromise. These moments matter more than you realize. They shape your character in ways comfort never could. You must reject the lie that consistency is boring. Consistency is powerful. It compounds. It builds momentum that sudden bursts of effort never can. Most people overestimate what they can do in a short time and underestimate what they can do through steady, faithful action. The future belongs to those who stay the course. Ownership demands that you stop waiting to be rescued. No moment of rescue is coming. No perfect alignment of circumstances will appear. What you have is enough to begin. What you know is enough to take the next step. Faithful action does not require complete clarity, only sufficient obedience. When you look back years from now, you will not point to a single dramatic day that changed everything. You will point to a series of decisions, repeated over time, that slowly redirected your life. The future is built this way, quietly and relentlessly, by those who take ownership and act faithfully even when no one is watching. Even when progress feels slow, even when the cost is high.